Yes. Another tip that I would say is to, that was actually my last tip.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. Because we'll cut that.
Okay.
Out.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I was like sitting here like, okay, that's my last one. I can't think of anything.
Good. Because the last thing that I'm going to talk about is like if you're
Can
not
we
going to
do
do
a
these
bloopies?
things. Bloopers?
Yes. Oh, I said bloopies. It's bloopers.
If I can figure out how to do it.
We can figure it out.
We can probably figure it out.
Okay.
Okay,
All right,
great.
we're going to do bloopers.
Super. Okay, let me get my... Hey guys, welcome back to Teacher Tea Time. I'm here today with my friend Hannah Pigman, and she has a YouTube channel called Teaching with Joy. So after you check out this video, be sure and go over and check out her video. And today we are going to do a collaboration where we talk about the value and importance of building relationships with students. And if I had to pick anybody who would collaborate with me, that would be Miss Pigman, because she is the relationship guru, whether it be relationships with kids or relationships with adults. It doesn't matter. She's going to seek you out in this building, and she is going to make you be her friend. You will be her friend.
Yes.
So we are going to run down our tips today about building relationships with kids, and then later we plan to make a future video on just different things or ways that we find helpful about building relationships with our colleagues. So we're just going to go through and each share some things that have worked for us and might work for you as well. So Hannah, you want to start?
All right. Hey guys. So most of you know that it's super important to start your year off with team building exercises and team building little activities. But it's also super important that you don't just do it at the beginning of the year. You want to do it throughout the year too. And so some examples I'm sure that you've heard of, you can get them for free on TPT or Pinterest, but Saving Fred, they have to work together as a team, and it's a really, really fun way to start your year out. And then also STEM activities. I mean, we try to do that at least twice a month. Some sort of team building exercises or activities, not just at the beginning, but throughout the year.
Okay. And just for reference, Hannah teaches 3rd grade here with me, and I teach 1st. So my tip, or my first tip that I want to share with you, is to share some kind of personal experience that you've had that students also struggle with. So I know for my own daughter, this has been something that's always been really powerful for her. If she has an area in her life that she feels like she's failing at or is a struggle for her, if I share an experience from my own childhood, just hearing that makes her feel better. And the same goes with kids in the classroom. So if you have a kid whose family is going through a divorce, if you've also been through a divorce, or maybe your parents went through a divorce, just sitting down and letting them know that you know how they feel, and that's something that you've also struggled with as well, can help them to feel better. Or maybe it's a student who has ADHD, and maybe you had ADHD, or maybe your child has ADHD. Those are a couple of the stories that I've connected with kids throughout the years, and every time I've told them my personal experience and then how it's been okay, you know, in the end, and how we worked to overcome that, they always say, you did that too, you know. And that is just something that you can see, just like the weight lifted off their shoulders, that they're not alone, and somebody who they see as, you know, a successful person and who's doing all right also went through some struggles in life, and not everything's perfect in the real lives of teachers, you know.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for that one.
Yeah. We're just getting loosened up, you guys. Alright, so the next tip is our love language quiz. I cannot take credit for this. My team teacher, Tina Walden, actually came up with this idea, and I was floored by the results. So the love language quiz, if you haven't heard, it's not just for students, but you can also take it to find out what your love language is too. But you can give your students a love language quiz, and based on their answers, you'll find out what they are receptive to. So, for example, students could answer questions, and then the results could be that their love language is words of affirmation. And so you know that if you lift them up continuously, that's what they're really thriving with. Some kids also rank really low in certain areas, and you know, oh, this student doesn't want to be touched. Some students want to be touched and hugged, but some they don't. So that information is super important to know, and it's really been a game changer for me this year.
I am acts of service.
Oh, mine are words of affirmation.
Oh, okay. That was like my second.
Yeah, it was tied with quality of time.
Quality time. Yeah. I just want somebody to do the dishes.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And I know you love me.
Yes, and while I'm doing it, I need you to be like, you're amazing. You scrub those dishes, girl.
Yes, I love that. Okay, my next tip is I'm always real and honest with kids. So I'm not one to sugarcoat things, and especially about things that they're going to encounter in the real world, even with little bitty kids. I mean, obviously I don't give them the harsh realities of the universe, but when it comes to things that they want to know about and the truth of, you know, the life that we live and how school works and things of that nature, or even their behavior or their academics, I'm real with them, I'm honest with them, and even when things seem a little rough, I go ahead and just tell it like it is, and I can tell that they appreciate that, and
they do.
And they realize that if you're going to be honest with them about the tough things, that you're probably, you know, going to be honest with everybody, and when you talk with their parents and things like that, you're going to be honest, and they'll respect you for that. So that's my second tip.
Nice.
How about you?
The next tip I would give is to set goals together. Normally at the beginning of the year we do goals as a class, but we also do goals every day. Before we get on the carpet, we'll talk about our behavior goals, or we'll talk about our rule goal of the week, or of the day, or whatever. But also, it's important to tell your teacher goal. Sometimes I'll tell my students, okay, my goal for today is to talk in a calm voice like this. Sometimes I can be very peppy, and it gets them very peppy, but sometimes it needs to be taken down a notch. So I'll share my goals with them too, and it's really helpful.
Love that. Okay, so my next one is something that I just started this year, and I think as a teacher it's important to find things that bring you joy as well, because that's going to, you know, spread to your students. And so you got to find things in your job that are going to make you happy. And one thing in my job that makes me happy is sharing stories that I loved as a kid with my kids now. And the time in the day a lot of times gets lost, and you don't have enough minutes in the day to just fit it all in. Now, obviously, we still read every day, but sometimes there's just not enough time to read as much as I would like to. So, one thing that my team did this year that when I moved up is they require a reading log, and that's not something that I had done in the past. And so, my value of reading, or where I want to put the value on that reading log, is not that it feels like homework or that it's something that the families are forced to sit down and do. I want it to help them find the joy of reading. And so one thing that I did is something that I call Lunch with Langston, and at the end of the month, any of the kids who have filled out their reading log get to come and have lunch with me. And that's a time where I find like a chapter book or something that I don't usually get to share with these younger kids, and I'll read a large sample of it for that 30 minutes that we have. And sometimes it runs even into recess, and I'll say, do you guys want me to keep on reading, or do you want to go ahead and go on outside? And a lot of times they want to stay in because that book is so good, and it's those chapter books that I don't usually get to share with my first graders. So I pull them in and read those chapter books, and they get to get at least a sample of it. And then I'll say, you know, if you really liked this book, then you can check it out in the library, and that can be something that they can take home and read later. But I miss those opportunities to share those good chapter books that you get to do in the older grades, and I'm super jealous that you guys get to do that.
Yeah, I like that tip because they're getting a little bit of more reading engagement in, but also they're getting to know you a little bit more by having lunch with you, and it's a little more personal. So
yeah,
you have your own little tea time over here with Miss Langston. So my next tip is, in order to have a relationship that is awesome with your students, it is just as important to have a relationship with your students' parents. Great communication will give you such vital information about your students, if they're struggling, what they like, what they don't like, which will carry into if they're struggling with a lesson or a concept. Like, I remember my first week, I had a student who was struggling behaviorally, and I was on the phone with that mama and daddy, and I was like, what do they like? What do they watch? What cartoon is their favorite one? And so I started communicating with that parent and getting to know that student ASAP, and that's helped so much. It's really important to get to know your parents as well. That's helped me, at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same. Okay. Yeah. So I had a difficult kid this year,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing seemed to like break down those walls
Mm-hmm.
until I texted with his mom.
Yes.
And I was like, what does he
Yes.
what does he like, what is he interested
Mm-hmm.
in? And she said he is obsessed with ships.
Yep.
And he loves the movie Twister.
Oh,
He's
very
obsessed
cool.
with like storms and tornadoes, and he fixates on those things.
Yeah.
So as soon as I knew that, and I could work those things into conversations or read
Mm-hmm.
alouds or writing prompts,
Yes.
he
Game
really opened
changer.
up. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So, and I would have never known that.
Yeah.
If I had not just spoken
Talk
to his
to.
mom.
I know.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And she appreciated that.
Yes.
You know.
And you built that relationship with
Yes.
that family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Love it.
Good tip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my next tip is treat them like your own. And building a relationship with kids sometimes can feel contrived. It might feel awkward at first, but I think that's my tip for classroom management as well. But just treat them like your own kids, and give those kids what you would give to your own kids. You know, obviously leave a little bit for your own family when you get home, but when it comes to discipline and when it comes to love, treat them like you would your own children. It's real simple.
Mm-hmm.
Real simple tip.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Yes.
Short and sweet.
Another tip that I would recommend is, at the beginning of the year, we normally do little get to know you activities, projects, really. Like, there's one that we always do every year. It's an all about me bag, and so they bring like 3 items from home to talk about. It describes them and who they are, and they're excited to show us like a ribbon or something, that a sports photo, and if they don't have anything, they can always draw a picture. But bringing something from home, like in a show and tell way, is always really fun for them, and we get to know them a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So little beginning of the year projects helps too.
Yes. Okay, my next tip is to be the teacher that you needed, or be the teacher that your child needed.
Love it.
So I would just say, think back to your own school experience, and think back to what you needed as a child, or what you see your own kids struggling with in school. What if you could have one wish for that teacher? What are the things that you wished they would notice about your kid, or they would say to your child, or they would have said to you or noticed about you as a child? And just do those things, and that's going to make you awesome in that kid's eyes, and they're going to feel valued and respected and loved, because it's hard to know exactly what they need. But if you think about it, and you do a little self-reflection and bring it back to your own self, and even using those love languages that Hannah talked about, can really help. So just be the teacher that you needed as a kid.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I always steal things from, even, like, I remember the things that my 3rd grade teacher taught me, and I still use those things. My favorite things that they taught us or did with us, I now do in my classroom. So I love that tip. That's very cute.
Yes.
My next tip is morning meetings. If you don't do morning meetings, you need to stay tuned. We could do a whole video on that sometime. But morning meetings, there are components to them, and for example, there's a greeting, there is a message, there's an activity, there's a share time, and it really builds a community within your classroom. And if you are doing morning meetings, I would encourage you to look and branch out for new, fresh ideas, because it's easy for us to get stale or stagnant. So there's tons of ideas on Pinterest, and sometimes I just make my own. For example, for Thanksgiving, for an activity, I was just thinking, what could we do? And so for our greeting, we did a gobble till you wobble. So they had to gobble all the way down to a student and then greet them, and then they would sit down, and then it would be someone else's turn to gobble to someone else. But just be creative and have fun, because that's a fun time for you guys to get to know each other and build that community.
That's good. Okay, that kind of springboard into my next tip, which is be silly sometimes and show the real you. So it's okay to kind of break that little wall or that shield that you have up, that teacher shield, that professional shield, and just get silly with the kids. And you know, everybody's gonna giggle and have a good time, and they're gonna see you as kind of like the mom that you are. I know you're not a mom yet, but the mom that you may be someday, or the dad that you are. But let them see kind of that maternal heart that you have, and just get down on the floor, or what, you know, I mean, I guess that depends on your age level, but just whatever it is, you know, cut up, joke, have a good time with your kids. It's okay to do that every now and then.
Sometimes we just have to stop in the middle of a lesson and do a dance circle.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we just stop and we put on some Kids Bop and we jam out for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And we dance.
I love that.
And they love it. Yeah. Seriously, we do. We really do.
Good. I love dance party.
Yes.
An impromptu dance party.
Yes. Those are the best. My next tip is let them get to know you, which is kind of what you were saying. But anybody who works with me knows that I am like a legit Halloween and Christmas fan. And I bring photos of past costumes that I've had as a child, and I show them, and just let them in on my little personal favorites that I like, or even for when I was little, they see what I did when I was little too. So letting them in on that, letting them know your humor, because not everyone is super extroverted. Some people are introverted, and letting them know your personality and what you are like.
That's cool. It's a good morning meeting time thing.
Yes.
Yeah, you were sharing. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
My next tip comes from a principal that I used to work for, and she's retired now. Her name is Michelle French, and she told us about a tip called 2 to 1, and that is where you meet with a student and you talk about your life. This may be a student that you're having trouble building relationship with. They might be causing some behavior problems in the classroom, and it usually is just because they haven't really gotten to know you yet, and so they don't feel that connection with you yet. So for 2 minutes, you talk about your own life, and it is going to feel awkward because it's literally just you calling them back to your desk and just starting in hey, so this weekend, me and my kids went to the park. And, you just talk about yourself for 2 minutes.
I've never heard of that.
And then for 1 minute, they talk. So, when you're done, you just be like, so what's new with you?
That's awesome.
And they literally can't get out of it. They're like,
I love that.
We didn't do anything this week.
I love that.
And then you just kind of pull it out of them. But you do that for 8 weeks, and it's literally 3 minutes out of your day. And it can be right when they get there in the morning and everybody else is unpacking, and you're just talking to them for 3 minutes, and then they're free to go. And it obviously gets less awkward as the time goes on, and the more conversations you have, the more that they'll have to talk about with you. So 2 to 1.
I love that. I'm going to try that out.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, the last thing that I want to share with you today is I'm going to spill some tea. Do you know what that means?
No.
It means I'm going to share some gossip.
Ooh, I like it.
Okay, so when you spill the tea, give the 411.
Okay, yes.
Let me know the 411. It's what the kids are saying nowadays.
The 411. Spill the tea.
Spilling the tea.
Oh.
Yeah. Are you here for the tea?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, seriously. As I was, kind of gathering information about this video and things that I want to talk about, I am always, inspired by Rita Pearson.
Mm-hmm.
I had the privilege of getting to see her many years ago. Our school district brought her in as a guest speaker, or keynote speaker, and it was amazing, super life-changing. At the point that I saw her, I didn't realize, the level of who she was, but now I know. And so she since passed away, but her legacy lives on through YouTube. And she also has DVDs, books, and things like that. So I'm sure all of you have seen the video, Every Child Deserves a Champion, and watched it a million times. And I'm just like, preach, that's what I'm talking about. So Rita Pearson she's my everything.
Me too. Love her.
She is somebody that I look up to, and I want to be her when I grow up. For sure.
Me too.
Yes.
Oh.
So I was researching her video again because I kind of just wanted to get pumped up and geared up and watch it again because I can never watch it enough times. And I found this channel called The Angry Teacher. Okay. and there are people out there like this. You're going to encounter them in your career. But he went in on Miss Rita.
No, he didn't.
He did. And I was so angry. Okay, so I tried to keep my cool.
Now we're the angry teachers.
Now I'm the angry teacher. Nobody goes in on Miss Rita.
No, Rita.
Okay, so the point is, he was breaking down her speech, Every Child Deserves a Champion. And he was counteracting that with his own opinions and thoughts. And they were really negative. And I want to say go check it out, but I also don't want him to get any more views. But he has a lot of videos where his thoughts and opinions are, you should not have to build relationships with kids, because that's not our job. Our job is, whenever she says, some teachers think, I taught the lesson, I taught it, and the kids should learn it, and that's the end. And he agrees with that. He says that's our only job, and that these kids do come to school because they come to school for the relationships, and that's not why they should come to school, because they should be getting those relationships at home. And that all of these things fall back on the parents, which is true.
It is true, yeah.
However,
they don't get
if you want my 2 cents, I say he's missing the point. And the point of that, what Miss Rita says, we can't change. That's not what we can, we can't change what their home lives are. So if this guy ever watches this, angry teacher, if you ever watch this, I just want to say you're missing the point, and let go of the things that you cannot change, because those kids can't change that about themselves either. They can't change the fact that their parents ignore them, or that they come from poverty, or that they're not well taken care of and they're neglected. They can't change those things, and neither can you. So what you can control is you.
Yes.
So that's going to be part of your job, whether you like it or not. That's going to be part of your job, is to be kind to kids, to build relationships with kids. And I know, Rita says kids don't learn from people they don't like, and he counteracts that and things like that. But I don't necessarily think she means, obviously, they won't learn if they don't like you. But they're more likely to learn more if they do like you. And they're more likely to work for you if they like you, and give their best if you give them your best every day. So that's my little 2 cents about that. And if you do struggle with building relationships with kids, maybe take some of these tips and try them out. And if you're not willing to build relationships with kids, maybe this is not the career for you. And maybe it's time to just slide on out, make a smooth exit.
And it is crazy, because I think that relationships are so important in every job that you do. Like, I think that it would be easy to say, oh, well, I can work somewhere and not have interactions with people, but people are awesome, you know, and relationships are awesome. And so I think it's important for us to make those human connections. But I know it makes me happy, for sure.
Yeah, I think you will be happier in your job if you find ways to enjoy your job. And that can look like building relationships with kids and building relationships with your colleagues, which is something that we'll talk about later.
Yes.
But yeah. Do you have anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, thank you for having me.
No problem. This was fun.
Love the tea.
Love the tea.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Spilling the tea and drinking the
That's
tea.
right. Yes.
Okay, guys. Thanks for tuning in and watching me and Miss Pigman's tips. And we hope to see you next time.